So you can't drive that type of car for 24 hours.
No way. You got to have that balance. I mean, a short sprint, and you got 3 different drivers trying to drive it as well.
We've talked about it, endurance racing, so many compromises to make the car do the job, not just for one driver, for 2 hours, for 3, for 24. That is the magic of endurance racing. That is the magic of Le Mans. And for a number of these drivers, as well as the crews and the principals, they are now looking at the completion almost of the 20th hour. And when we come back to the Circuit de la Sarthe, we will begin our final 4 hours of Le Mans.
You're looking at the very end of the Mulsanne Straight. Back in the old days before the chicanes were put in, cars used to come whittling over that hump at anything up to 250 miles an hour. But those speed vision viewers that saw our last year's transmission from the Le Mans race here will remember that in the warm-up, one of the Mercedes-Benz actually flipped coming over the top of that. And the rumour now is that the FIA, organising body of world motorsport, are putting pressure on the ACO, the automobile club that runs the race, to doze off that hump as it's dangerous. So this could well be the last time that we see that infamous bump in action during this 24 hours of Le Mans.
There is some tremendous history here at Le Mans, no question, and one of them is the hump. And this is that battle once again for second in the GTS division, and the number 64 Vet is closing it up and putting run on them. Now watch for it here. These cars are heading up toward that infamous hump. There will be the, of course, the kink, and then they make the run over the hump. There's now that part of history, that part of this legendary circuit is being considered to be removed. For the drivers that have had problems over it, of course, they probably won't miss it too much. For the drivers that just revel in it, this is a big moment.
Well, we're coming to it right now, but it really is not a factor the way it was pre-chicanes. When we had a pre-chicanes, that hump was something you had to worry about. But you see it right now. They're coming. They'll get up to speeds over 200 miles an hour. But unless you got a major problem with the car, this is not something you fly over. The tricky point is from this point right on, where you turn off the main road, down that little side road, very rough in there. As Calvin was talking, the braking, sometimes you can flat spot a tire, can't even feel it.
And now, folks, we are officially into the final 4 hours of this 68th running of the Saint-Quator du Mans. And we want to remind you, this is the very special 4 hours in many ways. You really start to feel the pressure. And, of course, you give a battle like the one we're watching right here. For position becomes all the more furious and intense because you know you're finally getting into the end of this race. We want to welcome now Herb Johnson of Michelin. And if you're at a racetrack these days around the country, you're pretty likely to run into Herb. He is a very busy man traveling all over. And Herb, it's interesting, there is racing in Montreal this weekend. There's kart racing, there's NASCAR racing, but it's here where there are 6 different tire manufacturers. All those others are single make. Michelin's here, but you're here for a reason, aren't you?
Absolutely. You know, the 24-hour Le Mans is one of the crown jewels of motorsports. And for the Michelin brand, this is where we need to be. We can tell a great quality story about the Michelin products. You know, we've been at this for a number of years, and we think that one of the reasons all the top manufacturers, Audi, Panoz, Porsche, Chrysler with the Viper program, they all want the Michelin product because they know of our long history here at Le Mans. You know, we brought 6 compounds and 6 constructions for all of the LMP cars and all of the GTS cars. So we were prepared for any condition that could possibly confront us here this weekend.
So 24 different tire choices, basically, and then they can mix and match on the corners. Well, that's a lot of variants.
It comes out to about 80 different combinations.
And we heard that you had like 4,500 tires or something that you brought for this weekend.
Absolutely. Yeah, we really did.
Let me break away just for a second. Let's go down to Guy Hobbs as Andy Wallace is coming back out, Guy.
Yeah, the Corvette coming in, and Chris Neifel's going to be stepping into that one. Chris, you just described basically the 24 hours very easily for us. Say it again.
Yeah, it's just 1 step forward, 2 steps backwards for the 63 car. Our pace on the track is really, really very good. It's the little things that are shooting ourselves in the foot, but if we can get it together, there's still a long way to go.
All right, Chris Neifel still hopeful. 4 hours to go here at the Daytona 24 Hours, and in the, behind us, Andy Wallace takes the Cadillac back out once again.
And Neifel must be taking some comfort in that battle for second in the GTS division. Certainly, that is an absolutely great show, Calvin.
It really is, and for you, Herb, this is really a great battle of the tires as well. With Goodyear on the vet, they've done a lot of development over the past 12 months with that vet program. They've put some pressure on you. You came here, you won 4 poles. You're currently leading 3 classes, but that GTS one is a real strong battle today.
It really is, and what's better for the racing public to see the Chrysler Viper and the Corvette do battle. I mean, the 2 preeminent muscle cars right now. And right now we seem to have them in hand. We're leading the class by 4 laps, but obviously this battle is an interesting one. We've got 4 hours. But
do you all at Michelin, you like the competition though, don't you?
We love the competition. I mean, that's how you really tell a quality statement. When you can go out and compete against the best, put your best foot forward regardless of the conditions. And again, as I said, you know, we've been at this a while. Our tires, we feel, are more consistent. They're durable. They've still got to be quick in the turns. They've got to have good braking. So we develop compounds and constructions specifically for endurance racing.
Well, we're going to show you right now the top 8 in the GTS division, in this great battle. And I'll tell you what, I think Michelin certainly is here. It's crucial to be learning. But the way things are going, you guys don't mind showing off just a little bit. There's the trophy that we'll be looking at in 4 hours. The battle for second in the Le Mans GTS division is this close. The Viper followed by the Vet. Their last laps, 1/10 of a second difference. It is remarkably close. In the GT division, a bit of a different story. And Dorsey, you're with Dick Barber.
Well, Dick, your 83 cars had a wonderful day so far. It's 7 laps in the lead with 4 hours to go. What are you feeling?
Well, Dorsey, as you know, 4 hours is a long time in a 24-hour race. And now the race really begins because the cars are tired, the drivers are tired, crew's tired. Absolutely, the car's very, very well prepared. And Bob Wallach just got out of the car and said it felt like new. So, you know, we're guardedly optimistic. We can't make any mistakes. We have to keep our guard up. We can't get overconfident. We really have to pay attention to those minute details, even harder now than we have for the entire race. Got to be there at the end, that's for sure.
Good luck.
Thank you very much, Dorsey.
Now let's go down to Guy Hobbs.
Thanks, Dorsey. Andy Wallace promised us that the Cadillac will finish the 24 Hours of Daytona. It's been in the garage area forever. It just came out. We just saw him go out. He's done 1 lap. He's brought it back in. The back end's come back off. Now it's going back on. It's going to be a long way to finish this one, but Andy Wallace is determined to get that Cadillac over that finish line and complete the 24 hours. But it's going to be a long way if they're going to keep coming in every lap they go out. Andy, well, he could be with some other programs, and obviously he's going to be disappointed and exhausted at the end of this one, as his crew are, who, by the way, just pointed out they've brought the sandwiches around for lunchtime right now. So actually, Chris Neifel chose a bad time to go out. He missed the sandwiches.
Well, as you point out, I mean, just finishing here is a moral victory, and really at this point they know they're not in it for the win. This becomes a very good test session for them to go out and work on stuff, and that's what it's all about. And you know, that's pretty much the same deal with tire development as well. I mean, you want to run. That's the best way you learn. Herb has stepped aside, but Pete Selleck, the chief operating officer of North American Replacement Tires for Michelin, is here. And I mean, Pete, you guys aren't in this just because it's fun, although it's fun. I mean, you guys have a lot on the line, and particularly from your standpoint, the replacement tires, that is obviously you know, where you can learn a lot, I would think.
Well, very clearly there's 2 things we get out of this. Number 1 is the development aspect of testing tires in this type of environment, but also there's clearly a brand equity issue here. People see this competition going on between the tires. It says something about the quality of the product, and that clearly has a carryover into the business.
One of your customers, the leader, is making its way down into pit lane at this point, and that's Tom Christensen. Looks like he's going to stay on board. They're just cleaning off his personal visor on the helmet, and one of the things that's absolutely remarkable is the amount of time that we're able to see these cars continue on the same set of tires. Let's go down to Guy.
We're down here again. They are just going through the refueling, but interestingly enough, despite not changing the driver, they do have tires laid out, but they're not going to go for him. He's got the 5-second signal already. Fuel's in, engine's fired, and he is, whoa, a little bit of a wobble getting out of the pits there, but the first time we've seen that.
Well, he's probably getting a little tired, but remember, they put those tires out there just in case they look at the tires and there is a problem. One of the tires got a puncture or something like that, or a little bit of abuse on it. They might decide to go ahead and put a safe set on there. Now, tell us, Pete, too, you guys are both over here from America, but you do your worldwide racing. How does the Michelin involvement with Audi and all the other teams here, when you get a result here at Le Mans, how does that translate to help you back in the United States?
Well, actually, we have two major businesses. We have the relationship with our OE car manufacturers, which clearly this type of environment helps us out with tremendously. But then also, obviously, we use that as a leverage into the replacement market in order to get consumers to have that great experience on the new car, so that when they replace the tire the second time or the third time, they're going to look for our brand.
And of course, for the folks at home that don't know, OE is original equipment manufacturer. That means that they're putting those tires on that product when it comes out of the factory.
Exactly right. And we have very close relationships that actually are going in parallel between the development here in this type of environment of racing, and also the development of new cars and new concepts that are moving out in the next 5 and 10 years.
One last real quick question, because I don't think a lot of people, how much of the tire development that goes on in racing actually gets translated to either the car tire or even to truck tires?
Well, there's two aspects of that. First of all, there's the actual technical learnings of the construction of the tire, and also the compounds we put into the tires. The things that we can try out here in racing ultimately can get into our products down the road. So there's that aspect, but also just as importantly is the development of our people. This is a step in people's careers to move into racing that teaches them how to react very quickly to changing situations, that really helps develop them as they go back into the normal tire development for consumer tires or for truck tires, as you mentioned. And that aspect of it is a very important part of their career development with our company.
We hear that more and more from all the manufacturers that are involved, whether it's an engine manufacturer in Formula One, you guys, everybody, this is where they develop their people. And of course, you know, racing is intense. You've got to make your decision now and have the product one day ago, because everybody wants it now, because the next race is next week and you're only as good as your last race.
Exactly right.
All right, well, I mean, that's what it's truly all about. It is, after all, a laboratory. It's also a serious competition. Those are the fallen and the ones that they are looking forward to falling more so they can win. That's how it works. Eastern time today. But, as I said, we've still got almost 4 hours to go in this race. And right now, the number 9, second place, Audi, making its way into the pits. That is Laurent Aiello behind the wheel. And it appears he's going to stay put. Let's go down to Guy Hobbs.
Yeah, Laurent Aiello is staying put. He's taking on some refreshment. And no tire changes here, just putting in the fuel. And before you know it, this guy's going to be back out again. These pit stops have been flawless all 24 hours long for the Audi team. But what I've noticed as the day goes on, when they come in, they're coming in tighter and tighter and tighter to the wall. And the rope that they put you behind here, when they grab you with the rope, they seem to be squeezing everybody up against the wall. I don't know if this is just something they're doing to try and speed up these pit stops, get in on a better line, but they're definitely sharpening that angle of approach.
Well, you know, it was great. We had an email from Gary Simolik, who was wondering about several years ago when McLaren won Le Mans, the cars were covered with brake dust. He was wondering why they looked so clean. He just looked at that Audi. It's not so clean. They are simply going through the equipment here still. It may not be quite as heavy, certainly, but these cars are being put through. Now, when the number 9 Audi came in, it was at 1:38, adrift of the leader here. That will, of course, expand, but number 8 is going to have to stop as well. So the battle for the win, even though it's intra-team, if they let them go, this is still going to be a good one. And we'll cover it when we come back. Welcome back to Le Mans. The battle for second in the GTS class is now out of the driver's hands and squarely in the crews. Both of them in at the same time. Let's go down to Guy Hobbs with the Viper.
The Viper, they're making a driver change. Anthony Beltoise is going to get in that one. I can't see back to the Corvette. Calvin's money is on the Viper getting out first. Obviously, they're all taking on fuel. They're going to change tires, I believe, on the Viper. Huge crowds down here. And, of course, those huge crowds are gathering again in the grandstands. The fuel is not in the Viper yet. nor in the Corvette. So this is going to be the battle on the tyre changes where this one's going to come down to. And then this is a battle out of here. Of course, speed limit 60 kilometers per hour coming out of the pit area. Oh, a little complication. There's another car coming along. Neither one can pull out, but neither one's ready to go. Changing the tyres on the rear. Oh, a bit of a problem with the left rear. And now going to the left front, but he's a little bit behind the guy on the right front. Left front comes off okay, gets the new one on. And back in the Corvette area, they are matching about the same at this point. This is a battle for second position. All done on the left front. And they're down off the jack, starting up the motor. It's not starting, it's not starting. They're trying to get it started there and fires up. There goes the Viper back up to you guys.
That was close. That was one pit stop.
Just that close. Andy Pilgrim on board the Vet, so it is going to stay this close. That is what this is all about. That is as close as it gets, and that was brilliant on both crews.
When I say I expect the Viper to go out first, certainly the team is very well oiled, but the fuel flow on that Oreca Viper seems a little faster than the Vet. You notice the Vet goes up a little slower onto the jack, so the car has to stay on the deck until all the fueling is done. So they certainly have that sussed out, Danny, in terms of getting the fuel into the car. It's gravity fed, of course, and it should take between about 25 and 30 seconds.
Well, to give you an example, they went in at with a 0.9 second difference. They've come out with a 1.4 seconds, so it is that. But those are also the things that the team has to learn. They've now seen a competition. They said, hey, those guys are a little bit faster. We need to choreograph it, work on our fuel flow, whatever the case is. These are all the little lessons that they're learning, and they'll come back strong.
I tell you, at Daytona, the Oreca Viper took the overall win from the Vet, but I mean, it was really the pit stops that killed the Vet. They had some driver change problems. They had some fueling issues. They've learned a lot. They're a lot more efficient here.
Eric Vanderpoel brings in the #2 Cadillac. Again, that car has run very well in between the problems, and that's back in the order quite a bit, of course. But as we talked about, this has now become a very elongated test session for Caddy, their first of 3 years minimum commitment here. And so they're just going to keep the car out and keep it running. So Eric Vanderpoel is going to keep working things behind the wheel. Now, for a number of us here, we're going to be done in just a few minutes, and we thought we'd take just a moment and kind of check in with some of the people who have been working very hard in different positions here. And first, let's go down to pit lane. Dorsey Schrader, what are you going to take with you from the year 2000 running of Le Mans?
Well, Greg, I'll tell you what stands out in my mind more than anything else. This year, the race was won by mechanical expertise, and the standard set will have to be matched. Audi, with a less than 4-minute rear-end change on 2 of their cars. No one could touch that. Everyone had problems, but they matched it. That and the almost flawless run of the Dick Barber machines, orchestrated by Tony Dow. That car 7 laps in the lead. Absolute mechanical expertise and engineering expertise.
Okay, Dorsey, we have the #3 DAMS Caddy is limping in, and it's just past pit lane, and the left rear tire is broken. That is not a tire that has been cut or gone down. That's something broken in the left rear corner.
Or a drive shaft or something in that area.
That happened at Sebring, I believe, with Andy Wallace. He turned it in the wall hard at the end of the back straightaway there, so possibly a weakling. Again, Danny, we're talking about staying off the curbs, and if the guys have been pushing hard, trying to catch up, they use the curbs a little bit, they can abuse the suspension a little bit.
And one thing that I would do is, if I was team manager right now, I would tell him, slow down. He's going way too fast. He thinks he's going slow, but he's got almost 8 miles to, he's got 7.5 miles to go. He's got to slow down. There won't be any tire left. That tire's going to explode running like that before the end of this lap.
Meanwhile, Michele Alboreto brings the 3rd place Audi in, and keep in mind right now that Courage from André Pescarolo is but 4 laps behind the #3 Cadillac. I can't imagine this fix is going to happen that fast, so we may have Yves Courage in the Peugeot with André Pescarolo running it up into that top 4.
Yeah, but he's running way too fast right now. He's got to slow down. He's just going to have to. So he's pulled off. Over. He's pulled off. He didn't even make it that far.
May have broken a half shaft.
Yeah. It was just too, I think, it was just too quick of a pace.
Absolutely. I mean, you can't, I mean, you're doing 200 miles an hour, you slow down to 50, but that's not slow enough.
Not for a mechanical failure like that. Slow for that's 10 miles an hour.
Feels slow, but it's not slow enough to save the equipment.
And this is where the tears many times come into it, don't you? You get so close, and of course, the closer you get, the worse it hurts. But for that program, they had taken the be casual, be smooth, be precise, be consistent run, looked to be working, and now this.
Now this, I also think that's one of the reasons why what you were asking Dorsey to do too, with 4 hours of racing left, don't forget, that's 2 Grand Prix that they're going to run later today. We've got 4 hours, a lot of racing, a lot of things can happen between now and then.
Well, absolutely, and of course, you know, Dorsey, I'm sure, is going to find a monitor and listen to the rest of the gang here as they bring it to the finish. So you're right, there's a lot to go here, but it looks like, I think it was Eric Bernard who was behind the wheel, and I think he has crawled out at this point, or at least one of the marshals has been over talking to him pretty feverishly at this point.
Yeah, that's heartbreaking. That's just one that team has fought, and of course Cadillac had a lot of hopes on that product right there because the other ones have had problems.
Well, there's the number 8, the leader, Ronaldo Capello, behind the wheel as he cycles through the virage forward, the Ford chicane, and down the front straight into the Dunlop S's. At this point, though, admitting, as you pointed out, Danny, that there is still 4 hours of racing to go. Guy Hobbs, who's one of the new members of the team this year. Great to have you with us, Guy. And obviously, you'll be watching the remaining 4 hours of this event. But from what you've experienced so far, you had a good time, first of all.
Well, first of all, I had a great time, and my final thoughts, I guess, would be just how dominant all the class leaders have been, especially in the 900, obviously, in the GTS, not so much in the 675 class, but then again, Dick Barber, which proves to me you've got to have a huge budget, whatever class you run. And again, I'd have to agree with Dorsey, the technical changes, that under 4-minute rear-end change of the transmission on the Audi was just absolutely superb. And the other thing for me would be, having watched Bob Wallach race for over 20 years, maybe see him finally get his first win in 30 tries in the new millennium here at Le Mans, the 24-hour.
Very special indeed. I think Guy brings up a good point, and it's interrelated, isn't it? To have the level of preparation that Audi has to be able to react like that, it all comes down to having the resources, having the budget to start with.
The budget's a very important thing, but I think the one little caveat that I would add there, it also helps to have that association with the manufacturer. Look at that, he's just flared. Look at the big piece of tire over on the right side of the track.
Oh,
that's very
even
dangerous.
more
Look at that.
If you're Reinhold Jost, imagine seeing this. You got your 3 cars out front, and then you're seeing debris splattered across the racetrack. I mean, if one of those Audis picks up any of that debris, that can create a big problem for any of the cars.
Well, for sure, they are on the radio to those drivers right now saying, hey, be careful, watch it out here on this back straightaway. They're throwing every rubber, look at this. He's going across the other side of the track.
Unbelievable.
What is that? Do you think he was out? I couldn't tell whether he was doing that. Oh, I
think he's trying to shortcut the chicane, essentially, and stay off the track.
But still, when you pull across the track to judge that Corvette coming down there at speed, that's a tough deal. You see the tire come off the right front or left front on your screen, come off the ground. Look at that. He's going to do so much damage. Slow down more. But anyway, to add what we were talking about while we watch this unfold, is you need that manufacturer association, because they have resources that are not always just monetary. They have the engineering resources, they have the human resources, they've got things that the normal team even couldn't go out here draw with even with a big budget.
Yeah, and Calvin, you pointed it out with the similarities to Sebring are overwhelming. I mean, same corner, exact same problem, apparently. Danny, why don't we have you tap into your thoughts here? It's been great to have you on board as one of our expert analysts in the booth, former driver here, certainly, and now from this perspective, what do you think?
Well, I've had a great time working with everybody, and even though we tried to go rest, it was fascinating to listen to the other team that took over when we weren't on the air. They had some great insight.
They're pretty good,
It's been a fabulous race. All the Speed Vision crew worked great, but I think Audi so far at this point has done what they set out to do. So did Dick Barber, as everybody has touched on. And I think so has Henri Pescarolo with that deal. I wish them all the best of luck, and this is a shattering for DAMS and also for Cadillac. It proved once again it's a 24-hour race, and you got to go right to the end.
And that's it, to learn. That is exactly what they're doing. And I think you brought up a good point. You know, not just these efforts, the big factory efforts in their first year, saying we got to stay with it. We're going to finish no matter what. We have to do it. But the Pescarolos running the Courages and the like, the independent Panoz teams with the TVSE teams, they too have every bit of determination to make the finish of this, don't they?
That's right. And everybody will learn from what they had this year and try to come back and improve on it next year and hope for the best.
Well, I'm going to throw in my quick observation here, and what it amounts to is you guys have touched, of course, on a lot of the components. My thought here is this year everybody was, I mean, Audi had demonstrated they were the hands-on favorite. It wasn't like the last few years. Yes, Toyota was fast, but BMW was there, and 2 years ago Porsche was there, and all of these manufacturers, as we're looking at the field summary. Here there was a clear-cut favorite, an overwhelming favorite, and yet the crowd showed up in almost record numbers here. And yes, the weather played a role, but to me that speaks that Le Mans is Le Mans. It is something very special, completely on its own.
Well, I'm looking forward, Greg. My final thought from the booth is, why am I now going to do another 4 hours and you're going to drink some wine for the rest of the afternoon? But I'm looking forward to getting down in that pit lane, getting down in the Audi camp, seeing which of these cars is going to take the overall victory. You've got McNish going to be getting in the Audi shortly. You've got Christensen in there. This is still a battle, guys. We've got another 3.5 hours to go.
We certainly do, and of course our coverage will extend a half hour past that as we will bring you the victory podium celebration and the like from that very special bridge here at Le Mans. So in just a minute or two we're going to be turning it over to David Hobbs and Derek Daly, Sam Posey, and of course Calvin, you're going to be ducking down into the pits. Andrew Marriott will be there as well. On behalf of the rest of us who, as you said, Calvin, will be kicking back with a glass of vino and of course being awed by you guys. We would like to say thank you very much, everybody. It's all the fathers. We hope you're not touching the yard work, you're not touching the housework, you're kicked back, watching who's going to win this trophy, and of course Formula One coming up a little later. Thanks so much. We'll see you next year.
Welcome back. We are live still with Speed Vision's unprecedented coverage of the Le Mans 24-hour race. Derek Daly here, Sam Posey is back, David Hobbs is back. And we're going to be here all the way to the end, and then on a post-game 30-minute show to wrap up everything. As you can see, the
that Cadillac, absolutely tragic, don't you think? I mean, there they were up to 4th place, quite a few laps down on the leader, but not really disgraced by any means. And that's just the sort of thing that can happen to you in one of these 24-hour races. Of course, Cadillac are here to learn, and their learning curve this year has been pretty steep.
There's been a huge American presence here this year. Big stories, of course, is the GTS battle with the Viper and the Corvette. The P-Class with the Cadillacs, about how good they would be. Remember, this is the first time they've been here. I know we've all watched the Audi freight train, its reliability, its speed, its sheer ability to make things happen very quickly. We've all marveled at that, but they came here last year also on a learning curve with 2 different types of vehicles, a fully closed car, an open top car, to try and decide what they really would come back with to try and win the race this year. So for Cadillac to finish here is an achievement. They never expected to run right at the front, but this is their learning curve year, as it is for Chrysler with the Mopar P team. And you still see the DAMS Cadillac. I can't imagine what damage is done to that car.
I can't believe it got round.
That is a testament to the incredible strength of
But there, of course, is another one of those lucky issues.
It gets more gruesome by the minute.
I remember one of the years that Jackie Ickx won this race, he had a flat tire, and it was about 100 yards before the pit in, and he zotted in.
Andrew Marriott is waiting in the DAMS pit for this stricken car. Yes, Andrew, can you see it coming at you? Be careful, because this thing may not stop.
Yes, I can see it. There's a lot of waving. We've been pushed back a long way. The front wheel cocked up in the air, and it's driven straight into the garage, past the crane they put there, and now they're pulling the car back out of the garage just to line it up. But I suspect that we won't get much of a view now. Of course, there are literally hundreds of people around this. But as you said, the car is in a bit of a state, and I think this is going to take quite a while to sort out. Just jostling here, really. They've got the crane now under the back of the motor car, and they're trying to jack it up right now. The engine cover has come off, and there's cameramen with their cameras held over their heads, and the bodywork's coming out, and people are falling over the bodywork. It's fairly chaotic down there. We've got ropes keeping us out. I'm trying to get a look at the back of the car. They've got the crane onto the rear of the motor car now. They're trying to lift this up, but actually they put the bodywork so that we can't see exactly what's wrong, and because we are speculating it might have been a wishbone, just as Andy Wallace had one go at Sebring. I'm going to try and get myself in a slightly better position and go back to you in the booth momentarily.
Andy, people might wonder why make the big efforts to get this car all the way back. Remember, as they stand now, they are still in 4th position on the racetrack. They were as many as 2 laps ahead of the Courage C52 car. This car right here that is closing in now on the Cadillac. So the Cadillac was trying to save that position, hence the huge effort and more damage possibly to get that car back to the pits.
And remember, there is
as they jack the car up, Tam, if I can just tell you, as they jack the car up, they've already got the wrenches onto the rear wing. They're going to have to take the rear wing off. I still can't really see what the problem is. There's just so many people here, and there's about 8 or 9 of Mr. Trio's finest mechanics here working on this. Manuel Collard is out of the car. There's no driver in the car, and
Andrew, I'm sure they're feeling the pressure here because there's tremendous prestige connected with the place that they are fighting for, which is 4th place, the 1st place behind the Audis, in a sense, a first in class.
Oh, absolutely right, Sam. I mean, this has been a magnificent effort by this motor car, and particularly by the DAMS team. And so we still crane our necks to see exactly what's happening. It's a bit of a tussle around here, and it does look to me as if the left rear is towing out, and they are working primarily on the bodywork.
Andrew, what this team will now know if they watch the videotape that we showed earlier on, they will know that the job they are doing right now takes Audi approximately 4 minutes.
Different sort of job, though. You see, they're putting on a completely new rear wing. I hear what you say because it's all one unit.
Yeah.
I don't think that any suspension damage has been done, actually. I think this is more bodywork caused by that flailing tyre. And a new rear wing, as I say, has already gone on. The stays are actually okay, so the wing stays have remained the same, but a new rear wing has gone on.
Andrew, we did, however, see that left rear wheel was massively towed out, so there may be some, keep an eye out for the suspension.
I think the suspension is definitely broken, Andrew. The wheel was completely awry. It was the bodywork damage was sort of secondary. I mean, the suspension is obviously broken because that wheel's flopping around.
We're going to keep a good close eye and to see if this Cadillac can get back out and maybe run again in that top 4, which would be a tremendous run for them, first time here at Le Mans. Welcome back. We are inside the DAMS Cadillac garage. They are trying to repair the left rear suspension on that car. They are still shown in 4th place on the track. The Courage is now within 1 lap of this DAMS Cadillac. There is the Courage right there. That is part of the storyline. This is the car run and managed and owned by Henri Pescarolo. And squeezes down the inside. There's still a lot of racing left.
To give you an idea, their racing laps at the moment around about the 4-minute mark, 3:45. The DAMS Cadillac last lap was 12 minutes and 10 seconds, and here comes the Courage, but it will still, of course, obviously gain another lap when it crosses the start-finish line, even in pit lane.
The battle, however, for 4th place is hot. The Audis, of course, well out front. They are fully 17 laps ahead of this battle for 4th place.
Clerico gets out. Emanuele Clerico gets out. They've done a good stint here. They have almost climbed up to 4th place. Calvin, you there?
Yes, I am. The number 16 car is in. They're doing a driver change. We expect tyres as well. Fuel is going in. They, of course, wait for that vent pipe to regurgitate before they pull it out. Now that the tank is completely full, 90 litres. The fire extinguisher's on board here. Car goes up in the air now. It's going to be Michelin's all the way around. With a good pit stop here and more trouble for the DAMS car, this could be for position. So Bourdais is getting into the car, Sebastian Bourdais. And as we said, Henri Pescarolo has given up the driver's seat for this year and really trying to get Peugeot the best result possible.
This is good. This is good here. 21-year-old kid jumps in a pressure situation. Le Mans, France, Courage, Henri Pescarolo. A lot of pride here. A lot of prestige at stake here if they can beat the Cadillac.
I have a personal recollection of Henri Pescarolo. Just after he won his 4th race, he was arrested just outside of Le Mans for driving too fast on the public highway, and I remember him with the gendarme protesting, and I can imagine what he was saying, but don't you know I just won the race. Poor Henri was used to going 150 average coming out of town. At 80 was probably.
I expect as the cop arrested him, he probably said, "Who do you think you are, Monsieur Henri Pescarolo?"
Yeah.
Andrew, can you update us?
Yes, I certainly can, and you're absolutely right, David. That corner is completely mangled, and they are pulling the corner off at the moment. They have prepared another one, but I have to tell you, this job is going to take more than one more lap. So I think you can say that this car can kiss goodbye to that fourth place, and that is a tragedy, really. They've worked so hard, this team, and I think the damage is so bad it's quite difficult to disconnect the various wishbones and suspension links in the rear there to make the job easy. But on the floor, you probably can't quite see it from our camera, but they are still prepping up the corner, which is going to replace the one that obviously caused the trouble. So,
and of course, that is the only Cadillac running in that top 10. Calvin?
We're with Henri Pescarolo, the legendary four-time Le Mans winner. How tough is it for you to watch and not be in the driver's seat, Henri?
It's a choice I did this year. I wanted to have my own team, and to build a new team, a new factory, it's something very complicated, and I think it was better for me to be out of the car instead of to be in the car. But I am driving it through my drivers now.
You're in a classic battle right now, a French battle with the DAMS team. Looks like you may take over the fourth position. The DAMS number 3 has hit trouble. That would obviously give you a lot of satisfaction.
Yes, it's what I said since this morning. You know, the race is very long. It's not finished. Actually, the number 3 had some problem. We could have some problem later on, so nothing is finished now.
How is your car running? Any problems at all?
No, not at all. We had a few problems this night, but the team repaired it very quickly, and it's going very well. So I hope that will continue until the end now.
Great job. Best of luck.
Thank you very much.
The Cadillac can still stay in the top 10, but remember the two Panoz cars are now within 4 laps of the stricken Cadillac being repaired in the pit lane. The Panoz is 6th and 7th at the moment. David, can you see? Oh, it's 29, okay. We're back. We are live with the Le Mans 24-hour race, and as ever in the closing hour, stories continue to unfold. We're going to follow the Cadillac battle. They are trying to hang on to a top 10 position. The 10th place right now is the Corvette C5. They are 15 laps behind the Cadillac. The Courage has now just been shown in 4th place. The Panoz car is now shown 2 laps behind the stricken Cadillac.
That is the 23 Panoz. That is the team Asahi Dragon with the Japanese drivers, the 2 brothers, Masimi Kagamaka and Masahiki Kageyama, and Toshio Suzuki,
who are brothers, and right behind them is Johnny O'Connell's Panoz in 12th in P7. Andrew, you have more?
Yes, Sam, I do. It's a major issue, this, because when the tyre was flailing about, it caused a lot of damage. I just see the guys now actually changing a belt. I'm not quite sure what it's a belt to, but that obviously got knocked off. They offered the corner up to the car and then found it wouldn't fit properly. They've taken that away, and about 5 guys are gathered around that at the moment, and they're trying to make some modifications so that it will fit. But obviously an enormous amount of damage was done here to the rear end of the Caddy, and right now I'm counting, I believe, 9 different people working on this. Might even be 10. John, Mr. Drio actually doesn't seem to be marshalling the forces. Other people are doing that, but he's maybe up on the pit wall and watching what's happening.
The 63 Corvette is now in. It is in position 12. Calvin?
Well, Chris Neifel brings it in. He's handing over to Justin Bell. I went up to Justin just literally 5 seconds ago. I said, how's it going? I won't tell you what expletive he used, but he said he's not feeling that good. This car is really taking out off. They're pushing hard. The car is hot, so they're doing single stints. Chris a lot bigger. Obviously, he jumps out. Justin has a slight seat insert that he pops in there. These guys had trouble with the seat insert in Daytona. In fact, cost them a lot of time in the pits. We should be seeing a tyre change here once the fueling has been completed. Now, these Goodyears have really been developed tremendously over the last year. They really felt that maybe they were a little behind the Michelins, but now they feel they're certainly on par, if not better. And these are the same tires that are essentially being used by the Dyson team over in the sports car series in the States. So there's a lot of teams other than the vet running this type of tire. Really gives Goodyear good feedback and allows them to really progress in a tremendous amount of time. So looks like a routine stop. They're now going over to the right side. Interesting with this team, they do left sides first, then go to the right side as opposed to front and rear with one guy on each side. Looks like the driver change is completed. Chris Neifel shuts the door. Left side is down. Justin's on the ground. He's going to fire it out. Gets the signal from Gary Pratt, his engineer. Bit of a delay there. Justin is underway. He's trying to go for 2 here at Le Mans. He won here 2 years ago with David Donahoe and the Viper team, and he's looking for another victory here today, but it's going to be tough.
Good job, Calvin, right on top of the story there. Calvin, of course, now on a double stint. Spent a stint here in the booth and is now running up and down the pit lane. He mentions Goodyear tires. Believe it or not, Goodyear have now taken many of the engineers that worked on the Formula One program, specifically with Ferrari, to get onto that Corvette program to improve those tires and make that faster, as we get a good look at the Gunnar Jeanette, Michael Lauer and Michael Brockman driven Porsche. They are still running strongly. They're 24th overall, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th in the GT class.
Well, the Corvette, they're both still running, but they obviously have to do a lot of work to become fully competitive with the Chryslers. Their times are nearly there, but not quite. You know, it's just one of those things. It's a tick of the watch, but when you're running for 24 hours around this 8.5-mile circuit, you've got to be right there if you want to be in with a chance of a win.
What you're seeing here is a compromise situation, which is if the driver had spent a little more time getting to the pits, there might have been less time spent in the pits repairing the car. That's one compromise. And the other, of course, is that the DAMS team, like the other Cadillac, our Works Cadillac team, just did not have the chance that Audi had because they're newer to the game to prepare for this kind of eventuality.
As you look at the top 5 in class, let me just take a bit of time to run down as best we can our US update. David Murray, Johnny Molam and Sasha Massen's car, the number 82 car, they are still running 21st overall, 4th in class. The number 75 car, which was Gunnar Jeanette, Michael Lauer, Michael Brockman, still running 6th in class, 24th overall. Shane Lewis in the number 71 Porsche, that was Mike Colucci's car. Big crash early in the race. Shane Lewis was taken to hospital with some neck and back problems. In fairness to him, he went off the road on somebody else's oil. So Kurt Wagner, Shane Lewis and Bob Mazzucola, who owns the car, Bob, 52 years of age from Staten Island, out early, heavy damage. Number 60, that's the car that has Tommy Kendall in it and Charlie Slater. They are still running. And they are currently shown in 17th place. They are in the GT class. Number 52 has Tommy Archer in it. That is one of the Vipers. They're shown in P13 overall, 5th in class. Number 32 car is the Multimax car. This is a Canadian car leading the lightweight class of the P675 class in P29 overall. By the way, at this stage, there are 32 cars still running in the race. The number 21 car that had Stefan Johansson on board, they are done. They had a huge blow up in the middle of the night with Stefan at the wheel. He tried to make it back, huge clouds of smoke. So Jim Matthews, Guy Smith and Johansson out. Johnny O'Connell is in the number 12 Panoz car. They are running strongly. They are now in 7th place, closing in on possibly 6th if this Cadillac cannot get itself running again. The number 11 car carrying Mario Andretti, David Brabham and Magnussen is 40 laps down. They're still running. They are 14th place overall. Serious transmission problems. Right when Andretti got in the middle of the night, they were in trouble. There is actually 321 laps completed as we speak. I want to move on up to the number 2 car that has Wayne Taylor in it. Wayne Taylor, well known to our American audience. In the Cadillac, lots of trouble. Wayne made many, many stops in the first hour and a half for out-of-balance tires. They are listed in P28 at the moment. And then the number 1 Cadillac that actually is listed as 27th position has Butch Leitzinger in it, Frank Lagorce and Andy Wallace. They are listed in P27 and still running.
Now that is an awesome rundown.
And that was the US rundown that I really wanted to fit in with 3 hours and a couple of minutes to go. And with that, we're going to take a little break. Slip away. It is gorgeous sunshine. We've been almost 90 degrees here Saturday and Sunday. Weather like this, not for many years.